Hey.
Recording.
Okay, let me clean up my monitor here because it's a little intense. How's everybody?
Good.
Good. I kind of liking the weekday mornings. Kind of thinking about maybe switching our Zoom classes to weekday mornings. I mean, it just works so much better for me. I don't know how you guys feel. We'll see how many people show up today, but it may the Zoom classes may start to be on mornings instead of evenings. Yeah, because we've got the same amount of people showing up this morning as we do in the evening. So I'm going to make an executive decision and start doing Zoom classes in mornings. I'm not sure what day, but yeah, I'm gonna switch it up. So yeah. Yeah, Shelby says mornings. Okay, so today I'm going to show you guys just like some basic Photoshop stuff. I know we've kind of gone over this again, but I'm just gonna do like a tutorial on all of the things that I would use. And I'm just trying to find a picture that might kind of have some stuff that we need to fix. Here's one. Okay, so first I'm gonna edit this picture. Like I always do, I'm gonna bring my shadows down, my whites up and my blacks down. I'm gonna bring up some contrast and then I'm gonna up the exposure. It's a little hazy for me, so I'm gonna bring my shadows back down and that will dehaze it. You can also use the dehaze slider, but I like the dehaze slider, but I don't at the same time. I feel like it makes things really warm. So, and weird, as you can see. So that's where I'm at. So as you can see, she's got a little bit of hair in her face. So let's go fix that. I'm going to press Command E on my keyboard to shoot this image over to Photoshop, which usually takes forever because I need to update my computer. Okay, so side note, this is how I show my clients my availability. This is a nifty little trick for you guys. I draw a black X on the days that I'm not available. So I'm gonna X out of that. Okay, so let's start here. So first of all, I wanna create a layer. There's a couple different ways to do that. I'm gonna show you how I do it. It's Shift, Option, Command, and E. And there's another way, it's like Command N, I think. No, there's, yeah, Shift, Command N is create a new layer. If you do it that way, you won't be able to use a few of the tools. You can use the stamp tool and you can use some other tools, but there are a few tools that you will not be able to use. So I like doing the Shift, Option, Command, N, E to do a new layer. And then you can use all of the tools. That's why I do that. So yeah, so let's start on this image. I'm going to zoom in using my Command and my space bar at the same time. You see the plus sign on my little thing here? I'm going to click and drag to the right to zoom in. I'm going to do the same thing and drag to the left to zoom out. when you see somebody who is extremely talented in Photoshop, you will see their left hand over the control option and command key and their right hand on the mouse. That's how you know somebody's really spent some time in Photoshop. Their hand hovers over the left side of the keyboard. So let's zoom in again. Command spacebar, click with the mouse and drag to the right. As you can see, this girl is absolutely stunning. Her skin is amazing, but let's fix this hair. So I'm going to press the S tool for stamp. S is in Sam. I'm going to size my brush by pressing Control and Option, clicking my mouse and dragging to the right or to the left. To the right makes it bigger, to the left makes it smaller. So I'm going to size it up a little bit. There are also videos on sizing brushes and creating new layers in the Facebook group. And Shelby did point out a while ago that you can do the little spyglass search engine at top and just type in what you want to learn and it's in there. So it's a really simple way of finding things in the Facebook group. I mean, the Facebook group is literally my entire life of learning photography and Photoshop in one area. I mean, there's so much stuff in there. I mean, you can pretty much type in anything and learn. So I am going to explain the stamp tool. This is like the clone tool in Lightroom, but the clone tool in Lightroom sucks and this one is great. So I am going to hover over an area of skin that I want to replace this hair with, and I'm going to press Option and click my mouse. Now I'm going to drag over and replace it. So Option, click on good skin, then hover over the bad area, click down and drag. Now, if you can see the plus sign next to my tool or my brush, that is where the stamp tool is sampling from. So it's sampling from where you told it to, but as you drag down, it's going to sample below the area and try to match the gradient of light to where you're clicking and replacing. I hope that makes sense. If anybody has any questions, just yell out. So again, we're going to come up to her eyeball, which is a different gradient of light, skin tone, colors, makeup, texture. It's all different up there. So I'm going to press Option, click, and then I'm going to click over on where I want to replace. So again, Option, click, and then hover over and then click down on what I want to replace.
Okay, Lauren, I have a question.
Yes, yes.
So what you're saying is when you are clicking on her eyeball to do like your cloning or your stamping, as you are moving your mouse to go to different spots, it's actually moving to get the best area to cover it. Is that what you mean by the plus sign moving?
No. So what? Okay. So it's not going to do the thinking for you. So where you clicked from is where it's going to sample from that space and put it and replace it with that space. Okay. And it's not going to think. So can you see me, my face? I don't know if you can see. Can you see my screen and me right now, guys? Anybody? Yes. Yes? Okay. Yeah. So can you see my fingers?
Yes.
So if I'm sampling from here and I'm replacing here and I click here and replace with this and I drag down on this one, this is going to follow and it's going to keep sampling like this. It's going to follow it. Yeah. So it's not it's not like the clone tool in Lightroom where it just, goes out, shoots out and replaces with what it thinks is going to be better. This, you are thinking for the program. The program's not thinking for you.
Gotcha.
You're choosing what you want to replace it with. And that's why Lightroom sucks and Photoshop is awesome. Just throwing that out there.
That's only because you're the queen of Photoshop.
Well, I can't stress this enough that if you want to learn these skills, use them every day for a month. Your brain does not get good at things if you see them once. Your brain gets good at things if you see them multiple times and you do them multiple times, and it's a muscle memory. I'm dyslexic and I have ADD. I went through high school having a D grade average, and I graduated from college with a 3.8 and in honors because I learned how my brain worked. And I'm super proud of that. But the reason why I graduated with honors and was accepted into UCSB and all this stuff is I learned how to use my brain the way that it worked, not the way that other people's brains worked. And I think that it's really important to take the time to learn yourself and how you learn. Do you learn from writing things, taking notes like manually, not typing? Do you learn from actually physically doing things, or do you learn from watching things? Now, watching things didn't work for me because I was dyslexic and I couldn't mirror things. So I'm just throwing that out there. Like, spend some time, guys, in learning how to teach yourself in the best way for you. But with Photoshop skills, if you don't do this every once in a while and use these skills, you will lose them. It's like learning a language. If you don't use it and immerse yourself in it, it's not gonna work. You know, you're gonna forget steps. So, you know, watch this video, rewatch it and watch it again, and really learn how to use a stamp tool. I think it is the single tool in all of Photoshop that is the most important. Creating a layer and using the stamp tool, most important. So let's go back. So now the hair is over, down, lower. So I'm gonna option right to the right of it, click, and then drag my mouse over and click down and replace now. And that plus sign is just following me up and down from where it is grabbing from. So as you can see, the plus sign is now on a piece of hair, and that's not gonna work because now it's cloning the hair. So I gotta go over to the right even more, press option, click, and then hover over the bad spot, and now drag down again. Is anybody super lost? Because it's okay. It's okay to ask questions. It's totally fine. This was so confusing to me when I first learned it. It took me a year to really figure this out. Just be aware of that plus sign, because it's where I'm going to repeat myself like multiple times. It's where it is sampling from. You are replacing bad pixels with good pixels. Okay, so I'm going to click. See, there's so many more of you guys here this morning than has ever been in the group for a Zoom class. I'm switching over to weekday mornings. Sorry, I'll figure out a weekday. Okay, so again, I'm going to sample from a good area, option click, and then hover over the bad area, click down and replace. Again, option click, down and replace. And we are fixing these flyaway hairs. And let's come over here and fix this hair. And she's got like a line on her face right here. When professional people retouch, they go in to the pixels. Do you see the pixels right now? And they take the stamp tool and they highlight a good pixel and they replace the bad pixel. That is retouching. Okay, it's hours. I begged my mentor in college. I TA'd for my mentor that taught my favorite class, which was the digital asset management class. And he specialized in Photoshop too. And is like, you think I'm good at Photoshop? I mean, this man is like the unicorn of Photoshop. I mean, he's incredible. And I begged him for lessons, and he would teach me after class one skill after each class once a week. And he taught me how to retouch. And it's a skill that I probably don't need, but when I need it, it's there. And it's so awesome. You can learn it on YouTube, you know, like look things up, watch YouTubes. So we fixed some hair. Let's come down to this blemish right here. I'm going to take my patch tool. It literally looks like a patch on the toolbar. And I am going to circle that blemish, and I'm going to click and drag it to a good area of skin. So all you need to know about these two tools is we are replacing bad areas with good areas, but we have to select from a good area. But this one, the patch tool, you're circling the bad area and dragging the bad area to a good area. Does that make sense? Everybody on board? Ask questions if you need to. So yeah, so now we have a hair on her chin, and I'm gonna go back over to my stamp tool. I don't wanna use my patch tool for this. I wanna show you guys why the patch tool might not be ideal for everything. So see the hair on her hat right here? I'm going to circle it and I wanna replace it. And you see how it made it all blurry and weird? The patch tool may not be your solution to everything. So Command Z undoes what we don't want. I want a shirt that says Command Z life, like Command Z life, you know? Like, don't you wish you could Command Z in real life? I do. Okay, so let's come back down. Oops. And Shelby, I just did what you did, and you sent me a picture of it the other day. I moved my whole image, and you can barely see it. Can you guys see that I accidentally selected and moved my whole image, and now there's two images? Okay, that happened to Shelby the other day, and she was like, what the heck is this? And I was like, oh, I don't know how to explain it, but it happens. Command Z life. Okay. So now let's go back to her chin. This is like, I think one of my favorite Zoom classes we've done. I geek out on this stuff. This is so much fun. S for stamp tool. We're going to highlight from a good space and replace the bad space with it. Now, as you can see, I highlighted from a space that was too light of skin, and I went over to the bad space that was too dark. I'm going to press Command Z. So I'm going to highlight right next to that skin, and I'm going to do it multiple times until I get the look that I want. I didn't like that. Command Z. So right next to it, and replace and drag down. I'm going to come over here, do the same thing right next to it. And here's a blemish. I'm going to come over the patch tool. I don't know the key command for the patch tool. Okay, and now we're looking a lot better. If you guys want to see your progress in Photoshop, you can click on your bottom layer, hold down the Option key, and click the eyeball, and you can see a before and after. It's kind of a fun thing to video for social media. I don't know. Okay, so now I'm seeing I don't really like this piece of skin, so I'm going to use my patch tool on there, and I'm going to replace the texture. I just like that better. I'm replacing texture over here too. Let's play with her eyeballs. Eyeballs are fun. So what you can do here, there's a couple different options. My mentor, Bruce Burkhart, you guys should follow him or go take one of his online classes because, oh my God, he's amazing. So he taught me to use a white brush to do this. You can also use the dodge and burn tool. So let's start with what I use, the dodge and burn tool. And I want to explain the dodge and burn tool. So it's this spyglass looking thing. And there's two options. There's a burn tool that will make things darker. There is a dodge tool that's going to make things lighter and highlight things. I use the dodge tool for eyeballs. Okay, so right now my exposure for this tool is 10%. To change this, you can either come up to the top to exposure and click this and be super slow and drag it, or you can be super cool and just press the 2 key for 20%. Number 2 on your keyboard to change your exposure. Number 2. If you want 30%, number 3. 40%, number 4. 50%, number 5. 100% I think is 0. So 20%, I'm at 20%. I also like using the mid-tones for this, under range at the top. It's next to your exposure. Play around with what works for you. You have a few options. There's shadows, mid-tones, highlights. We're going to start with mid-tones. If it doesn't work, I'll change it. So I'm going to size my brush using the Control Option key, holding it down, clicking my mouse and dragging to the left to make it smaller. And now I'm just going to drag around, click down and drag around the iris. And if I do it with 2 clicks, so click and drag and then let go and then click and drag, it's like 40%, right? Because we're like layering on. And I want to show you that do you guys see how much this eye is popping right now? Look at, this is before and this is after. Before, after. It's pretty cool. It'll really, like, if you're really wanting, you know, I don't do this for every photo that I hand a client, but maybe I'll do it for my sneak peek or something, you know, special, or, you know, if a client, you could do this for every photo. You could hand a client less photos and take it into Photoshop and do this for every client. It's up to you, but you're going to have the skills, you know, to decide. So going over to my other eye, and I leave the top of the eye alone. I don't mess with the top of the eye. It makes it look too artificial. So again, I'm dragging on the bottom twice, and I'm just highlighting the natural colors in her eyeballs. Okay, so it's subtle, but man, does it pack some punch. Can anybody see how cool that is? I don't know if you can actually see it, but like, damn. So cool.
You can see it. It's so
yeah.
cool.
So let's talk about the burn tool. We're pretty much retouching right now. Like this is what somebody would do, you know, for a really important image, say for, you know, for advertising. So I'm going to right click on my dodge tool and I'm going to highlight the burn tool. And I am going to contour her face. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at 20% exposure. I think about, we're all ladies here, think about how you would contour your face. Okay, so I contour my face slightly around my hairline on both sides, but not in the middle. I do it underneath my cheekbones. And then I would maybe do it along the edges of my nose. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I am going to go underneath her cheekbone and on her jawline. And I'm going to do it super dramatic so you guys can see. I'm going to do it again and again and on her jawline. And then probably over here on her face. And I'm just kind of repeating. Okay, super dramatic. So here's before and here's after. You're contouring her face. Obviously, I would not do it this heavy-handed, but for learning purposes, that's how you dodge. Okay. So I'm gonna Command Z 1,000 billion times, or I can come up here to these 3 dots on the right-hand side panel, and I can come up and go down to where right before I use the burn tool. So this is pretty much every move you've made in Photoshop on this image is listed right here, and you can go back. So if you want to press Command Z 1,000 times, you can just go back to before you use the burn tool. Okay, so learning all the things. This is a lot of stuff. Rewatch this video. You'll probably pick up something different each time. Okay, so now I'm like getting like pretty happy. This hair is kind of bugging me, so I'm gonna press the S key, and we all know how to use the stamp tool by now. So I'm just gonna fix this area really quick. Yeah. And then I don't really like the texture, so I'm gonna use my patch tool over that and drag it to there. And I'm gonna use my patch tool over here for the lighter hairs. There's a little dark spot over here, the dark spot over here. Okay, so now we've done her eyes, we've done some flyaway hairs, we've done some blemishes. Let's do some skin stuff. This is gonna blow your mind. There are actions that you can buy for Photoshop online. You can just Google it. You can, I got this one. It's Pro Retouch by Totally Rad. I highly recommend it. I spent money on it. Guess what? I use one tool, and that one tool is magic. It's actually, I think, called magic. So the tool that I use is the Skin Magic Eraser. But sorry, sidetrack. When you buy actions, it's like buying a filter or a preset. You can upload it to your Photoshop and it'll follow you around to wherever you use Photoshop. And so it'll always be there in the panel over here. And it's like having a preset where you click on it and it applies an edit or a tool or a brush that you can use. So it's really cool. It's like tools, extra tools from professionals, and you don't have to do it. You can also create these, like you can create a preset. So if I had something that I did every time, like some kind of skin blurring brush, I could create a action that I could use. Yeah.
Invoice here for the guy.
Okay, perfect.
For you or whoever.
So let's use this magic eraser. I use this to smooth textured skin. So I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to come down to the play button. There's a little sideways triangle and it's gonna say, you wanna use the magic eraser? Yes, continue. It takes a little while. It's going to create a layer with a mask on it. Okay, a mask, we're gonna have to explain after this, but it's so you can erase and draw simultaneously, and it goes on top of a layer. But anyways, I'll explain afterwards. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in using the Option command. I just did the Shelby thing again. Sorry, this is single you out, Shelby. Command space bar, click on my mouse to the right, zoom in. Okay, so we've got some texture on the skin. I've highlighted my magic eraser. I'm going to press B for brush, and I'm going to do 6 for 60% opacity. So 60% of my brush is coming through, not 100%. Now I'm going to soften my brush. To soften your brush, you're going to press the Control Option key, and you're going to click your mouse and drag up. To harden your brush, you're going to do the same thing, but drag down. Do you guys see that my brush is hard and now it is soft? Does everybody see it? Okay, good. So I want it kind of soft, and I'm going to come in here and I am going to, sorry guys, hold on. Okay, somebody's calling me. I don't know who's calling me. Okay, so now I am clicking and dragging and I am painting over her face and I am softening her skin. This is for textured skin. So it will also get rid of blemishes somewhat and highlights and grease. So I'm softening all of the texture on her skin. It's very subtle. If I click it on and off, you're probably not going to be able to tell too much, but it really is incredible for really textured skin. So I'm just going to zoom in. So this is before and this is after. Can you guys kind of see that on the screen? Before, after. So it's smoothed out all of the pores in her skin. Super cool stuff. Okay, so that is pretty much what I would do to retouch somebody. I think that's about it for today, but I'm going to open it up for questions just because I'm going to leave something for next week that we can do and learn. Anybody have questions?
I do.
Okay.
So whenever I do any editing like this, granted, I'm not very good yet, but I feel like I can always see it. And so then I worry that the other person would be able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, do you just assume they won't be able to because this picture is already so zoomed out? Or because I know you've also talked before about it showing up on Instagram.
Yeah, they shouldn't be able to really notice. You should be light-handed enough that it's very subtle. Like I would give this to a client and she's not going to know that I retouched her. It's so subtle. It's
Okay.
very subtle. But I'm gonna know. I mean, look at the before and the after, just the hair and the eyes. I'm gonna know, but be subtle handed enough that it's not like, whoa, So that's what I would recommend. Yeah. Any other questions? That was a lot. That was a lot of learning. Okay, guys. I'm going to put this in the Facebook page. Does anybody have a vote on what day of the week you guys would like to do Zoom classes in the morning? Because we are changing. There's more people here than there's ever been. So we're going to do mornings from now on. It's easier for me, and it seems like it's easier for everybody else. So Mondays,
I'd say Tuesdays or Thursdays, but that's just me.
Tuesdays or Thursdays, totally fine. Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Is that okay, guys?
Yeah.
That works.
Okay.
That works.
Tuesday mornings. Yeah, Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. I will post something because I just like, there's so many of you in here, and like I always say, guys, even if you're at work and you've got your earbud in and you're not interacting, like that's totally fine. You're still learning. You're still learning. It's totally fine. And then, again, rewatch this video. This will transform your work. Just having these set of skills, being able to create a layer, being able to size a brush, being able to zoom in and out. Just a side note for zooming in and out, it's different on a laptop. Oh my gosh, does it drive me nuts going in between a laptop, back and forth between a laptop and a desktop for Photoshop. Oh, just don't like it. So this is on a desktop. For zooming on a laptop, you can just pinch your fingers and drag on the pad. You don't like it. But you can know that you can change any key commands to what you want them to be. So if like you can set like a certain command to a certain key, you can do that in Photoshop. Kind of cool. So yeah, well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you all later. I just had one person bail on the workshop, so if anybody wants to come, there's one spot. And yeah. Okay. All right. See you guys. Bye.